Good morning. It's Monday. It's time for some book talks. The first book that I read last week was called Duke by Default. So it's part of a trilogy of adult romance. It's contemporary. It's set in today's time. And so what's funny is they're called the Reluctant Royals because the first one has a prince in it, and this one has a duke. I'm not entirely sure what the third one is. I haven't managed to get my hands on it yet, but I'm reading them from the public library. And so they're contemporary romance, guy meets girl. Sometimes they get along, sometimes they don't, kind of thing. This one was interesting because the main character, went to Scotland to do an apprenticeship with a sword maker. Well, she's all excited. I'm going to learn how to make swords. She has a master's degree in fine arts, and she's done lots of apprenticeships everywhere. And her family's really like, I need you to buckle down and join the real estate business. And she's like, I don't know about that. And so she goes over here, and this is her last-ditch effort. She's going to go home and join the family business if she can't make something from this internship. But, of course, because it's a romance, what she makes is a relationship. But what's also great is that there's a lot of personal growth on both her part and the love interest part. And I do enjoy that in a book. I love when they see what's going on. They're like, how do I make this better? Is there a way to fix this? This young lady decides that perhaps she has ADHD, and that's the reason she's never been able to buckle down like her twin sister has. And so she gets some help and gets some information. Sure enough, she probably does. And it explains so much to her, and it sort of lets her off the hook that she's kept herself on and the guilt she's had about not being as productive as she should have been. She's about to turn 30, and she's really freaking out about it because she doesn't have anything she can look back and say, this is what I did. And so that diagnosis frees her up to be who she is and to make some good choices and to move forward. I really did. I very much enjoyed it. I love a good romance anyway, but I definitely enjoyed that one. All right, so this one, The Castle School for Troubled Girls. I actually read 2 contemporaries this week on accident because I don't like to read synopsis, and so sometimes I pick up a book and the cover looks interesting, right? And then I was like, oh, that looks really good. And maybe it's a mystery, maybe it's a fantasy, maybe something's going on in this castle school for girls. You know what's going on in that castle school for girls? Great therapy, actually. They have talk therapy, they have one-on-one therapy. It's a small school and there's only 12 girls, and so they really have a chance to get to know each other and to bond. The school's brochure says it's a safe place for girls to find their own solutions, to build the community and to heal from their trauma. And so I spent the first half of the book thinking, okay, when's the shoe going to drop? And then I finally just really got into the main character and what she was going through with her mom. Her best friend died, and she stopped eating, and she stopped going to school. And she started to go visit his grave at 2 o'clock in the morning in Manhattan, riding subways and walking in the dark. And her mom was terrified for her. But of course, the girl couldn't see that. She just saw that she and her mom fought all the time, and she couldn't eat because she wasn't hungry, and she couldn't sleep because she was sad, and she couldn't go to school because her best friend was never going to get to go to school again. How come she got to graduate if he never would? So it's really a book about love and loss and mental illness and moving forward. It was actually excellent. I very much enjoyed it. So, mystery. I did manage to get a mystery in this week. Last Thing Leaving. This is the 3rd book by the person that I've been talking about for a while. And so this one is interesting in that at the beginning of the story, the person is already missing. And it starts with interviewing her boyfriend. And when did you last see her? What did you last say? And so they spend the whole book trying to find January. And there are lots of twists and turns. There's a couple of surprises. There's another murder. And then there's a big plot twist. So I did enjoy it. I think Death Before Spawn is still my favorite book by this person, but I did enjoy it. Hearts Unbroken, the other book that I read. Now, to be fair, it did have a romance sticker on it back when I picked it up. But even though there is a little bit of a love story, it's not a romance. It's a contemporary book about being Native in America and being in Kansas when your drama teacher decides to host a color-inclusive Wizard of Oz, which means that anyone could try out and you would get the part on your merit and not on your skin color. And they cast a black lead and a native Tin Man and a Latino lion kind of thing. And a lot of people are up in arms about it. So the main theme of this book is small towns are racist. It's not a big surprise, right? Like, no one's like, ah! No. But what's interesting is that she did talk a lot because she is native. There was a lot of information I didn't know about that. But the irony of having someone paint "There's no place like home, go back to where you came from" on a Native American garage door, like, hello, she is where she came from and not just Kansas. It was so frustrating. But I didn't love this one as much because it felt very much like a lesson, maybe. And maybe it's a lesson I needed to learn and I just wasn't as comfortable with it. But the telling of the story was not as compelling as the story was itself. But if you're interested in a Native experience in Middle America and how that might look in a modern age, this is the book. So you can find it on the contemporary shelf. Hope you guys had a great weekend, and we'll see you again on Thursday.